What can you remember about our story of the people of Vinland and Shetland? Pause the video for a moment and think through the story you heard yesterday. Then unpause when you're ready to continue the story. The people of Vinland and Shetland began the long process of deciding how to measure time. Both countries had many educated scholars who spent their whole lives studying the measurement of the sun, the moon, and the stars, as these heavenly bodies seemed to move in the same pattern year after year. The Vinlanders knew when to plant their seeds when they saw a certain constellation begin to appear in the spring sky at night. The Shetlanders held a grand celebration of wool dyeing on the day that the sun shone through a hole in a certain rock, positioned in such a way that it only worked one day a year. The delegates from each country discussed the passage of a year for many days until they had come up with a plan that honored what was most important to both groups of people. They decided to keep the 12-month system of the Vinlanders, but to adjust it to account for the Shetlanders' clever observation of the sun. They changed the name from month to month so that the sun would also be represented. Instead of the moon's 27-day cycle, they stretched out the months by a few days, alternating between 30 and 31 days each month. They found, however, that the calendar still didn't completely line up, so they made the month of February a special month that would be only 28 days long, and every 4 years they would add on an extra day. They called that day a leap day, since it helped them leap and make up the extra day every so often. Once the year and the month had been so wonderfully planned, they agreed on a 7-day week. And then they began the task of coming up with a way to measure the passage of time through the day. The Vinlanders, in their careful observations of the stars, had noticed that they moved through the night sky in a circular motion. The Shetlanders watched the shadow of their shepherd's crooks throughout the day and noticed how the direction of the shadow changed slightly as the day went on. Together they came up with a device that was fastened to a large flat rock and had a stick whose shadow would move across the rock as the day went on. They called it a sundial. They split the day into 12 hours and the night into 12 hours, and finally they had a system everyone could agree upon. In celebration of developing their new system, they decided to hold celebrations together 4 times a year. At the summer solstice, when the sun was in the sky longer than any other day of the year, they joined together for a day of work where wool was dyed and crops were weeded. On the shortest day of the year, winter solstice, the 2 countries came together for a celebration of storytelling, enjoying the wines the Vinlanders had brewed in the fall. On the 2 days of the year, with equal time of light and dark, they celebrated with a great harvest feast in the fall and a great seed planting party in the spring. In this way, they would always remember how they had worked together to understand time. I have a little rhyme and another way of remembering how many days each month has. Let's see if we can learn it. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, excepting February alone, which has 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year. Let's say that again. I'll say a line and then you say a line. 30 days hath September, April, June, and November. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, excepting February alone. All the rest have 31, excepting February alone, which has 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year, which has 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year. Practice that verse until you can remember it. That will help you remember which days have 30 days and which days have 31 days. I have another really fun trick. I'll show you a picture. Here's a good way to help you remember how many days each month has. This is a drawing of hands that are making a fist. Now we all have these hands with us all the time, so this is a great way to figure this out and remember this. So when we have our hands like this with our hands in a fist, we have our knuckles that are up like little mountains, and then between the knuckles we have these little valleys. Well, it's pretty cool. If you look at this, you'll see that the months sort of alternate between 30 days and 31 days. And except February, of course. February is the one exception that's kind of different. That's why it's in red. Here I've drawn all the ones with 31 days in green and the months with 30 days in orange. So January is on a bump and February is in a dip, in a valley. March with 31 days is on a bump. April is in a valley with 30 days. May is on a bump with 31. June is in a valley with 30. July is 31 days with a bump. And then we skip over here to August and we have a bump. 31 days for August. September in the valley is 30 days. October on a bump, 31 days. November in a valley, 30 days. And December, 31 days on a bump. So now all you have to do is remember what order the months go in. The best way to do that is just to practice saying them over and over and maybe even writing them out. So we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I'll give you a handwriting sheet to help you practice.